Good evening, my fellow friends, my fellow neighbors, and my fellow shining stars. We are at the halfway point of 2020, such a monumental point in time. So this isn't just any old trolley stop. This is an extremely special trolley stop here at Empowered Publicity. Welcome to episode number 80 of the Children's Books Spotlight Series. My name is Jonathan Masiulionis, the president here at Empowered Publicity. Thank you so much for spending some time with us wherever you are, wherever you may be, shortly after 7 o'clock Eastern Time here on the East Coast, the 15th of June, 2020, to all of our friends and neighbors out on the West Coast, especially in San Diego, California, shortly after 4 o'clock Pacific Time. We are halfway throughout the month of June, as I mentioned, halfway through our month-long celebration of dads. So to all of the fathers, grandfathers, father figures, and fathers-to-be, fathers waiting to be fathers in the wings, so to speak, we really appreciate you specifically spending some time with us here this week. We're just a couple of days shy of the summer solstice. Like, how exciting is that, right? The summer solstice. So even I'm kind of the kind of guy that once Memorial Day rolls around, that summer technically starts. But some people, it's like summer must start on the summer solstice. It's such a beautiful day here in our neighborhood. And two of our newest neighbors, if you want to talk about a timely theme, a timely message that very much is very palpable right now. And I feel that this really needs to be shared with children across the country and around the world. And of course, the inner child within us all is the message of coming out of our shells, right? Many of you are familiar with the butterfly analogy, the chrysalis. You have the caterpillar to the butterfly. Well, a similar version, a little bit of a unique way, a little bit of a different way, is, of course, there's times in life when we feel lost or scared, afraid, and alone. Even at times we can feel hurt, and we might just want to crawl up right back in our shell because we're very comfortable there, right? We're very comfortable in our shell, but we're realizing more and more the importance of being our true self, our authentic self. And so two of our newest neighbors are helping us to come out of our shells during eclipse season. So this is realistically our new norm, and to step into our truest, most authentic selves. Like, how amazing is that? How amazing is that, neighbors? So one of my favorite children's books, and we're actually going to be talking about not only one, but two super amazing children's books. If you remember, it seems like just several days ago, but it actually was the early the early preview of what ended up becoming the Empowered Publicity Story Time with Mr. Jonathan. We had the opportunities to share Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. So if you're watching us on Empowered Publicity's Facebook page, you can head on over to our videos on demand section to be able to check that out. So we're going to be sharing this beautiful release as well, in addition to the brand new release of Gloria's Hope Tree. Both of these brand new children's books are now available courtesy of our friends and neighbors at Belle Isle Books. And of course, they say that Buffalo is the city of good neighbors. And if you're wondering, well, is that just a marketing expression? No, it's not, because one of the people that here in the Buffalo area that truly embodies the heart of the city of good neighbors is our featured guest here on episode number 80 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, Stephanie Parwulski. Stephanie, we really appreciate your free time and joining us here this week on the Children's Book Spotlight series as our featured guest. How are things with you this week?
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for having me on, and I look forward to our interview, and hopefully it'll be an inspiring evening.
I really believe that. And before we begin, if this message, if it's helping to open up your heart, if it's bringing hope into your life, if it's bringing healing into your life, if you feel that it needs to be shared with someone in need, if you have a close colleague, a good friend, or maybe someone that you haven't connected with in a long period of time, and you feel that you want to give them that little gentle nudge to say, hey, you know what, it's okay to come out of your shell. We encourage you to share episode number 80 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight series if you are watching us live. If you are watching us here on Facebook, feel free to share this on Facebook. If you happen to be watching us on our brand new YouTube channel at Empowered Publicity, we encourage you as well to share episode number 80 of the Children's Book Spotlight series on any of your other favorite social media platforms of choice as well, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We really appreciate the continued support of what it is that you are doing for the children of the world, in addition to what it is that you've been sharing from your heart for Empowered Publicity for nearly 6 years now. Stephanie, these books are very genuine, they're very authentic, and they're very heartfelt. I can tell that the word intentionality comes to mind, that when you have something that's on your mind, in your heart, that writing is such a powerful tool for you. For those of our friends and neighbors and our shining stars who are learning about you and your work for the first time this evening and this week, could you share a little bit about your journey to become a children's author? Was it one specific event that inspired this whole process for you, or was it more or less a series of events over the course of a several-year time frame?
Certainly. Well, I have always been an avid reader, and that has really developed within me a love of words and language, and really instilled a love of writing. And I would primarily keep my writing to myself in the confines of my journals. And there was a time that in my college years that my social anxiety was getting really intense. And there was a point where I felt like, and I really wanted to express that because it was getting harder to keep inside. And so the outlet that I found, or the platform that I found, was writing. And I thought of, how can I best convey my story and relate it to others? Because I wanted to help other people as well who might similarly have these invisible stories, and bring them to light and reassure them. And so I was thinking of different animals, and the turtle came to mind, because the turtle carries its home on its back, and the turtle has always signified to me patience and perseverance. So I thought that the turtle would be the perfect symbol or emblem of my journey. And I also chose the name Beatrice because Beatrice means to bring joy to others, and so I thought it would be the perfect name for my turtle, who is this champion of kindness. And I really want to thank my family, especially my brother, because he had encouraged me to submit the manuscript for Beatrice. It was sitting on my computer for a while, and he had said, Steph, your story is worth telling. And so I finally hit that send button, and I'm just grateful for really my whole journey. I'm grateful for all the people that have believed in me and supported me, because it's really their belief that helped me find my own sense of courage.
And just, if I may say, Stephanie, you have come so far in such a short period of time. We were blessed to be connected. It's probably been close to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. There was a Barnes and Noble children's book event, which had a wonderful panel of children's authors. And a lot of us we're becoming more in tune and intuitive. And there's times where we go to a record store or a bookstore, and we're just guided to a certain book. It's kind of like the book is on the shelf, and it's like, that's the one that I want to purchase, or this is the piece of music that I want to listen to. And I felt such a strong resonance to Beatrice, even at that particular point in time. Now, before we continue on with the interview, I would be remiss. You actually have a little stuffed Beatrice, if I'm not mistaken, as well, too, correct?
She came along. Hi, everyone. Yeah, this Beatrice was actually made by one of my best friends, and that was an act of kindness too. She completely surprised me with Beatrice, and I'm amazed by her craftsmanship and just the kindness of that gesture. So I bring her with me to all of my events, and one, I feel like my friend is there with me, and also the children love being able to see Beatrice kind of come out of the book and be an interactive element. So I love bringing her along to my programming, and she's excited to come along today too. We're usually together.
So glad to see Beatrice joining us as well tonight. You know, you alluded to and you talked about the symbolism of the turtle, or some may refer to the tortoise, right? And it's a symbol of perseverance. It's a symbol of patience. And many of us are familiar with the analogy of the tortoise and the hare. And the hare is just like, the hare is kind of like on ADD, right? The hare just wants to get to that end destination, right? And just rush the process. But I feel that what many of us have been learning over the past several years, especially, Stephanie, if you can kind of talk about this a little bit, is the importance of acknowledging and embracing the journey, and that it's not just about the destination. So if you notice in the parable of the tortoise and the hare, the tortoise just takes its time. It has its end goal, it has its end destination in sight, but it moves at its own pace. It moves, there's time to be, it picks up a little bit of speed. There's time where it slows back down a little bit. Could you talk to our friends and neighbors? Could you talk to our listeners and viewers about the importance of being the tortoise right now, especially with everything that's kind of happening around the world, to be able to move at your own pace and to really embrace the overall destination, that it's not just about the journey anymore, or I should say that it's not just about the destination anymore, I should say.
Sure. Yes, I've always believed that it's important to find what your passion is and to embrace who you are and follow your own rhythm or pace, because I feel like, especially in a digital age, it's easy to compare ourselves and to feel like we have to meet different standards to attain a sense of success. And I think people then internalize that and think that they may not measure up, or they may feel a level of inadequacy. And what I really want to remind people through my writing and through my books is that you all have an internal value. And I want to help people discover that. And I think the most important thing is to embrace the path that is right for you, and those little victories are really the big ones. Like, even for me, sometimes I might feel a sense of shame if I couldn't accomplish something by a certain point in my life, or I had to take a different path than my peers. But I realize I don't want to discredit any of those moments, because they all ended up being stepping stones and helped me really become more in tune with who I am and embrace that. So I hope everybody listening tonight can take away a message of remembering that you have value and embrace the pace that is right for you.
It's a good analogy to be able to take away from our time together tonight, friends and neighbors. Don't you agree? Embrace the pace. Somewhere that's a Twitter hashtag, I guess. It's an Instagram hashtag as well too. We're definitely going to dive into this book, into Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. I actually want to share one of my favorite passages, if that's okay with you, Stephanie. Is, you kind of alluded to this earlier on about, embracing the little things, because especially right now, the little things mean a lot, right? So how many times, let's say if you're outside right now, it's a warm day, and you go for a walk or a jog or a bicycle ride or whatever, and you come home and you're sweating. And one of the greatest feelings in the world is when you put your hands under the faucet, you get some cold water, you splash it on your face, right? So here is one of my favorite passages here in the book, which is where Beatrice finds a little bit of refreshment in splashing a little water. I just think that's so adorable. Not to give the whole book away, obviously, because that would defeat the purpose of people who are tuning in here this evening and this week to purchase their very own copy of Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift, which, by the way, is now available at Amazon.com. We are sharing, of course, all of the ways where you can stay connected with Stephanie throughout the course of our time here together this evening and this week in the comments below. While on Amazon, you can leave your 5-star review for Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift as well. Could you open up the pages of the book a little bit, not necessarily in a literal sense, but could you give a little bit of an idea of the journey that Beatrice is on in this particular book, and exactly what it is that people can expect when they actually take the time to enjoy Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift?
Sure. Well, Beatrice's journey is really one of self-discovery, and how kindness is something that I have found to give me courage, and I hope that that's a message that I can share with everybody through my book. And so, like you were saying, as you read Beatrice, you'll find all of these different moments that she explores and happens upon, and sees them in a new light. Because before, she was afraid to really leave the proximity of her rock garden due to her fears. And then at one point in the story, this little white butterfly comes and encourages Beatrice to follow her and to see the world in a new way. And as you progress through the story, Beatrice starts to feel more at ease with her surroundings, and that can be attributed to that butterfly's belief in her, saying that I see you, I care for you, and I want you to experience these things with joy. And the butterfly is actually meant to represent my mom, and I write all of my books in tribute to her. She had passed away 6 years ago, and that was so life-changing, and still is difficult to process. And that in itself has been a journey. And writing has really helped me get to a place where I can at least try to understand and process those feelings. And I just realized that sense of unconditional love that she provided, and my dad provides, and my brother, and my dear friends, and other family members, that provided such a beautiful foundation and gave me so much courage. And so I wanted to relate that through the butterfly in relation to Beatrice, showing that one form of encouragement, just one gentle, loving nudge can help expand, your world and your boundaries. And so I hope that in reading it, it gives everybody a sense of courage, and reminding you that really kindness or love is what is our courage. And that's what's given me courage on this journey.
And I think that, one of the things that we're also learning, especially over the past, I'd say several days especially, is, I've been talking to many neighbors that I come into contact with every day. And, many people feel that there is a very strong change that's in the process of happening, right? We're seeing it on an individual level. We're wanting to make important decisions in our life. Maybe if we were kind of hesitant about something, or kind of in a mix of fear and doubt or resistance. And we're definitely seeing change happening right now in the world. And that involves courage, because anytime that you're stepping into a new terrain and new surroundings, you have to be able to have the belief within that not only is everything going to work itself out, but that there's it's the right timing, the right energy, the right people, the right resources. And plus it helps to be able to have, fellow friends on your path. It's very interesting, because I know we were talking about, in our green room before we join everyone this evening, how, one of my favorite neighbors, I picked this up at Target a couple of weeks ago, but there's this little Disney set, and it's got, Mickey and Minnie and Donald Duck and Pluto and Goofy, right? And it's just like, there's been a couple of days in 2020, right? I mean, I'll admit that, things may have felt a little awry, or, where I was questioning myself. And, this is where, that there's different people that can remind us that we have the courage that we have within. I wanted to talk tonight, Stephanie. I feel that you're a perfect person to be able to share some amazing thoughts from your heart on, is the art of being yourself. Because we may tell ourselves, there's a narrative that we told ourselves for a long period of time. Like, for example, for all the children's authors that are tuning in tonight and this week, there's how many children's authors, right? And then there's the award-winning children's authors, the best-selling children's authors, right? That X number of books need to be sold. And those are all important, right? Don't get me wrong, they are. But and then sometimes people can get caught in, I want to be the next I want to be the next Dr. Wayne Dyer. I want to be the next Judy Blume, right? So, and you can just kind of get caught up in that, right? But we're starting to remember that each and every one of us has unique gifts, special talents, what I like to call a soul signature, right? And it's very important that we honor that. Could you share what it means to you when I say the art of being yourself? What does that mean to you, and what do you feel that means, especially in the current climate that we're living right now in the summer of 2020, the art of being yourself?
Yes, I really love that phrase because it's something that has always held meaning for me. I think it definitely can be hard to feel a comfort sometimes being yourself, because I think we all are our own harshest critics, and I think sometimes it's very difficult to tune out that voice of doubt. I certainly understand it myself, because I will have moments where the volume of that self-doubt or feelings of inadequacy can get very loud. But what I realized is I want to put on a new soundtrack, and the people who love me and who I love have helped me realize that I am enough, and I have purpose, and I found something that gives my life so much meaning. And so I in turn want to share that with others, and similarly remind everybody who's tuning in that you have purpose, and you have value. And like you were saying, everybody has their own, I love how you phrase that, soul signature. Everybody has their own gift to bring to this world. And when we all can contribute that gift, it creates like such a beautiful collage. And so I think for me, I've realized that even though it can be scary to share that vulnerability or something you might feel ashamed about, or you may feel inadequate about, but I've come to realize that actually by being open about what makes me me, even the parts that are invisible and I might be more afraid to share, has actually helped me to be more authentically myself. And I make that a goal each day, just trying to remind myself of my value and the gift that I want to share. So I hope that everybody can do the same. That's my hope through my writing.
And you're very much doing that in such a heartfelt and genuine way. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, episode number 80 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series, our featured guest here this week in our neighborhood spending some time with us and she's here from Buffalo, New York, the city of good neighbors. How amazing is that as well, too? We are sharing both of her brand new children's books, Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. One of my favorite neighbors is Beatrice. And shortly we are going to be talking about her other new release, Gloria's Hope Tree. Both of these books are now available courtesy of our friends and neighbors at Belle Isle Books. We've already provided the description below, I should say, the Amazon links for you to be able to purchase your copies of both Gloria's Hope Tree and Beatrice and the Sunflower's Gift. We're also going to be sharing Stephanie's official website so that you can stay connected with her upon the conclusion of our time here together this evening and this week on the Children's Book Spotlight series. I feel that one of the things that Beatrice is helping us very much, as Beatrice is so perfectly able to do, is teaching us how to get in touch with our true self. Now, as I was reflecting on our time that we're going to be sharing here tonight, Stephanie, one of the things that came to mind is that I think many people get confused. They may say, I have to find my true self, right? When our true self is who we are at our core, right? All we need to do is just stop pretending to be who we were trying to be, stop the forcing and the pushing and the going against the grain, so to speak. You know, one of my favorite children's nursery rhymes, it reminds me, Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this in many of his books and PBS specials. He talked about row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, right? And I think that when we take the time to get in touch with that energy and that belief system, we're able to realize that our true selves are perfect and whole and complete just the way that we are. Could you talk to our listeners and viewers and our friends and neighbors about how to get in touch with your true self, how to remember your true self versus the need of trying to find your true self?
Sure. Well, I think I always tell people that when trying to be in tune with yourself, think of what gives you the most joy, what makes your eyes light up, what makes you feel like you don't want to stop talking about it, what makes you feel light, what warms your heart. And for me, that's always been writing, my relationships with the people I love. I also love nature. I gain a lot of inspiration from the outdoors, and that has been very restorative for my spirit. So in my writing, you will find a lot of nature elements. And so I think what's most important is finding what provides you with a sense of peace, what really speaks to your soul. And I think what just gives you a genuine sense of joy. I know whenever I talk about my writing, people have told me like my eyes light up and I get really excited and I can just keep talking about it because it's something that really fuels me. And so I think what's most important is just looking within and saying, like, what brings that joy, what brings that sense of peace. And I think that will really help you feel in tune with who you are.
You talked just a few moments ago about nature. And there was a quote that you shared on your Instagram page several days ago, which really hit home for myself. That really, if you do feel lost, afraid, alone, or hurt, that really is nature's way of. I'm doing my best to paraphrase that quote because I don't have it in front of me, but it's nature is the way of connecting with God, connecting with the universe, and really restoring that sense of alignment and balance and peace and trust within yourself. Why do you feel, especially right now, why do you feel that nature is important to us to help bring us out of our shell and to help us connect with our highest and truest and most authentic self? How can nature do that?
Sure. I think the beauty about nature is it's taught me the importance of just being. I think for me, a lot of the time, I have tended to base my value off of my productivity. And if I feel that I didn't accomplish a certain amount of work or didn't follow through on all the tasks that I wanted to, I somehow would feel like I didn't measure up in a certain way. And I'm really coming to, transition and connect my value to my being. And nature has really taught me that. It's shown me that there's a beauty in just being yourself. And when I go outside, it's such a multi-sensory experience. So it allows me to appreciate all of the wonders around me, whether it be the joy of seeing a sunset or a sunrise, seeing a flower that's just about to blossom, seeing, I think, all this amazing beauty that sometimes is even hard to capture in words. Sometimes it really surpasses the ability to be described in words. And I think nature has taught me so many different lessons about gratitude, patience, courage, and also when I do like my gardening, for example, it helps me feel even more connected to nature because it allows me to know that I'm caring for something. And I think that reciprocal relationship really has helped me um, discover my purpose and my values. So I love all the gifts that nature has to give to us and all the messages that it has to share with us, sometimes ones that seem there just for us to witness. Like recently, there have been 2 cardinals that have visited my property, and this is the first time that we've had repeated visits from cardinals. And it's so beautiful when I go outside and I witness something like that or I behold that, because it's a gentle reminder of the love of my loved ones, whether it be like my mom or my grandpa, or just being able to witness that, I think gives me such a sense of peace, and that's what I'm grateful to nature. I think it's been such a beautiful teacher. I think it's one of the best classrooms that you can be in.
And one of the really cool things about nature, and I think that many of ourselves we're starting to open up to this a little bit further, is that, you know, nature really is more healing than we realize, right? Like, for whatever was close to 3 months, we were all cooped up in our residences, the whole, extended quarantine thing, right? And, you're seeing just people take the time to walk in a park. Like the simplest of things that was there for a long period of time. We always wanted to do the baseball game or the concert or the amusement park. And not to say that any of those things are wrong in any way, shape, or form. They all serve their purpose, right? But the thing that really brings us a lot of joy, a lot of healing on many levels is nature. And the great thing is that it's free. You can walk into nature. There's, nature's a very non-judgmental place. So if you're kind of moving through, whether it be some guilt or some judgment, some shame, like nature's not going to judge you in any way, shape, or form. I envision it's like, I'm actually going to use, one of my newest favorite neighbors, thanks to award-winning and best-selling children's author Hal Price, who's created the brand new award-winning and best-selling children's book, The Bare Essentials, right? We'll be talking about a little bit more about The Bare Essentials momentarily, but it's kind of like a hug from Eli Benjamin Bear, right? And it's just, that's just kind of like what nature is all about, right? And plus, one of the really cool things that I wanted to share that I really enjoyed about your book is that there's obviously some amazing characters in your book. Besides Beatrice, there's also Lee the bunny, there's also Mac the bear, there's also Donna the robin. So if you're a fan of other animals besides turtles or tortoises, it's very much all found within Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. Again, you can head on over to Amazon.com. You can also head on over to Stephanie's official website. While at Amazon, if you're purchasing your copy of Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift, feel free to leave a 5-star review if you feel guided to do so in the process. The message of kindness, before we shift into Gloria's Hope Tree, the message of kindness, I think, is very, very, very important. It cannot be understated how important kindness is right now. And excuse me, it has to begin within ourselves. Because many people, and it's so true, it's important to be kinder to your neighbor. It's something that our favorite neighbors reminded us for many decades right now. But in order for you to be able to express that authenticity, that genuine kindness, that not just that, here today, gone tomorrow kindness, it really has to begin from within. And I do want to thank also Stephanie for her personalized inscription in my copy of Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. It says, "May you always believe in kindness." I feel that there's many people right now that are feeling maybe that it's not impossible to be kind, but they're feeling very challenged, especially being kind to themselves. We can easily, look at the statistics, right? 40 to 50 million Americans right now out of work. People have lost loved ones. Over 115,000 or so of our fellow neighbors have transitioned over the course of the past several months. Sometimes in life you have that compound effect. Some people call it the divine storm, where it feels like everything is going wrong. And then this is when the inner critic kicks in, Stephanie. So we can say, I wish I could have done more, or did I do something wrong? And then we tend to just get in this vicious cycle of abusing ourselves and sabotaging ourselves. So could you share with our friends and neighbors, with our listeners and viewers, some tips on being kinder to yourself during trying times on your path?
Sure. Yes, this topic is really important to me, and it's one that I'm still working on myself because, as you mentioned, it can be very difficult to, treat yourself kindly when you want to make sure that you're doing your best and meeting your own expectations. But what I want to remind you is that you, just by being you, makes you enough, makes you more than enough. And I hope that that can be the soundtrack that starts playing on repeat in your mind whenever the doubtful thoughts come. And I think also something that's been very helpful for me to be kinder towards myself is something I've been doing each morning. I call it kind of like a gratitude meditation. And I take some time in the morning before I get up to think about all the things that I'm grateful for. The people in my life who have, as Mr. Rogers said, loved me into being. The beauty of nature that uplifts me, when I can see the sunrise in the morning. Just being given the chance to have another day and to make, hopefully a difference for someone. And I think the beauty about kindness is that no act of kindness is ever too small. And I think it's just important to not underestimate that. I think just by being yourself makes an immeasurable difference for someone. And I think just knowing that you can touch someone's life just by being you is an amazing gift that we have to offer each other. And I think what's most important is just trying to also treat yourself like a friend. A counselor of mine, she has really helped me and inspired me, and she'd asked me to think about, how would I react if a friend was in need? And I said, oh, I would be there immediately, and I, would see what I could do to help. And then she said, what if you were in the same situation? And I had said, oh, I'd probably be much harder on myself. I would say, oh, Steph, you could have done better. And my counselor then asked, would you have reacted that way to your friend? And I said, oh, certainly not. And she said, then why would you react that way to yourself? And it was a really powerful moment, because it realized that I wasn't treating myself in the way that I treat others. I wasn't extending that same compassion that I hope to always give to others to myself. And so along this journey, I've really tried to look at any moment that maybe before I would have thought as a setback, or I would have been critical of myself, I now am looking at as a stepping stone, and trying to view it in a much more uplifting than critical light. And again, it just goes back to being mindful of your pacing, because it certainly is something that takes time, and I know it's difficult, but when I mention the importance of being kind, it certainly includes yourself as well.
And this is where I'm very glad that you shared what you shared and the way in which you shared it, because love and kindness are two of the most powerful things on the planet, especially right now. And it's very easy, right, that we want to, when it comes to just loving other people, it's like we're this fountain. We just want to give it all away. We want to give the love and the kindness and the hugs. Well, virtual hugs. I mean, if there's a close one that you feel guided to hug, I've still hugged a couple people over the course of the past several months. But then when it comes to that reflection, and I'm glad that, again, that you shared that, because, sometimes we ask ourselves, like, am I worthy of receiving love? Am I worthy of being kind to myself? And it takes, a series of experiences. It takes greater awareness. It takes more compassion and non-judgment to get to that point where it's like, even if that's okay, like we encourage everyone that's tuning in and that's listening in here tonight and this week, if you've been hard on yourself in any way, shape, or form, that it's okay. Each and every day is like a blank slate where you can create what it is that you want to create. I just actually realized this, Stephanie, you're going to get a kick out of this. One of my favorite destinations every week that I go to is Trader Joe's. Have you been to the Trader Joe's in Buffalo before?
I have.
Favorite place, amazing energy, great people that work, right? So it's interesting, because when people think of really beautiful flowers, they don't think of Trader Joe's. They think of a floral shop, a florist kind of thing, right? But I got in the habit, every time that I go to Trader Joe's, there's this gentleman by the name of Noah that works at Trader Joe's. Real nice guy. In fact, there's actually two Noahs, I should say. So we'll call him Noah number one for the sake of the conversation. But I remember, I went there one time and I was feeling really down, and he could see it. And, it was a part of him that, intuitively said, have you ever thought about getting flowers for yourself? And I think I had did that, like a couple of times in the past, right? But it was kind of like, wow, all right, a nice earth angel coming across my path and passing along a beautiful message. So I actually have gotten into a routine of purchasing, a dozen red roses for myself from Trader Joe's every week. And it's interesting because literally in the earshot distance, literally right in front of me, behind my camera here in my office, is those. So it's just a matter of positioning that to remind myself that I'm worthy of the love and the kindness that I give out to other people. So whether it be, if that resonates with you, our friends and neighbors, our listeners and viewers, our shining stars, whether it be buying yourself that half a dozen or dozen roses, it doesn't have to be that way. It could simply be giving yourself a bear hug. full pun intended, each and every morning. It could be, journal. It could be, expressing your gratitude in your gratitude journal. It could just be doing, at least one thing that's really nice for yourself, playing some wonderful music, listening to a beautiful meditation. It doesn't need to be rocket science in any way, shape, or form, right? So, the message of kindness is now, it's more important more than ever before. And as Beatrice is reminding us, that a small act of kindness can change your life in a big way. I did want to take some time to also talk about Gloria's hope tree. And it's so fascinating how, all of your children's books have a beautiful nature analogy. It's interesting because I think that, and this is a little bit of a lighthearted reference, many people have always wanted to have received the recipe for the money tree. Because of course, when we have the money tree, all of life's problems go away because we have the money to do whatever it is that we want. But I think what might be a more important tree for us as of right now is the hope tree. Because when we have that hope, then we can connect to faith. When we connect with faith, we connect with trust. When we connect with trust, we connect with commitment. When we connect with commitment, we connect with action steps. And then, the money tree comes, I guess, so to speak. But could you share the process of creating this book? Because it has a similar energy, yet a different energy than Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. Could you share a little bit about the experience about writing Gloria's Hope Tree and what the message of hope has meant for you in your own path and your own journey, Stephanie?
Sure. Well, my second book is really a story about the healing power of love and hope during times of grief. And I really wanted to find a way that I could convey that difficult emotion in a sensitive, understanding way and help other people who may be enduring some kind of loss, whether it be the passing of a loved one or a separation or any form of sadness or difficulty they may be experiencing. And again, referencing how nature is important to me, I've always loved trees. I just admired their beauty, and there's this one tree on one of my regular drives, and it's beautiful. It's this maple tree, and it would always be the first to turn color before the other trees. And I imagined to myself, what would it feel like to be that tree, to be the one that turned color before all the others? And so I thought about combining those two ideas and creating a story. And in Gloria's Hope Tree, you have this young girl, Gloria, and her father, and they've lost their mother, their wife, and they're looking for this tree to plant in their memory garden. And they happen upon this little maple tree that is often overlooked on account of her size and her crooked branches and her few leaves. But Gloria and Daddy find a beauty about her. And that also is another message I want to share in that book about embracing yourself and finding the beauty in yourself, like Gloria and Daddy do for Hope, the maple tree. And with their love and with their care, they nurture Hope, and she blossoms and grows into this beautiful tree. And I know it's not according to the timeline of how a tree would actually grow, but the message I was trying to share was that love and hope have that healing power, or that ability to nurture or to make you really embrace that beauty and courage that's always been inside. It's just a matter of having someone see it and reflect it to you. And then in turn, Hope the maple tree is able to reciprocate that warmth and that sense of caring because she provides Daddy and Gloria with such a beautiful tribute to the woman they lost. And this story is really meaningful because, again, it's a tribute to my mom. And last summer, my brother and I and my dad, we decided to put in our own memory garden in our backyard. And we have a cherry blossom tree there in honor of my mom, and we picked other plants that we thought would be a beautiful reminder of her spirit. And neighbors of ours have given us this beautiful bench that we're able to put there as tribute. And this book was such a beautiful experience for me to process my grief, which I still am processing, and realize that I'm feeling that enormity of feeling or emotion because of how much love I have for my mom, and I feel like she's still guiding me, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's why I'm also thankful for all the people in my life that have given me that sense of hope, that have nurtured me like Hope the maple tree, like my dad, my brother, my really dear friends, friends that I've had and the ones that I've just made, all the people I've met along this author journey, my publisher for believing in my vision and accepting my work and becoming like a family, my illustrator, Tanya Ramirez Cuevas, who illustrated both of these books and breathed like such beautiful life into these stories. And I thank you for having me on and for letting me share about my books. And so I'm just appreciative of all these different connections. They've really brought like so much meaning. And I hope to convey that through my writing.
And I feel that your journey it's just starting. And I think that's if I may take a page out of the words in the heart of Mr. Rogers, it's such a good feeling. You know, it's kind of like when you see a tree starting to blossom. Maybe it's not in full blossom, but you kind of see that. You see the short term and you see the long term. You see the direction, you feel the direction in which it's going, if that makes sense, right? And I feel this is a perfect time to be able to remember the gift of our fathers and the love and the joy, the hope, the trust that they bring into our lives. Of course, all month long we're celebrating dads here with our month-long celebration of dads at Empowered Publicity. You share a special bond with your father, and you talk about, again, taking a page out of Mr. Rogers, those who have helped love you into being. Your father's been one of those beautiful hearts and kind souls that has helped to walk you home, so to speak. Could you talk to our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, about that heartfelt bond that you share with your father, and really as well why fathers are, and the love that is in the hearts of fathers, whether it be dads, grandfathers, father figures, or fathers to be, why they really hold a special place in our hearts now and as we move forward into the second half of 2020.
Certainly. Yes, I am so grateful for my dad. The connection and the love that I have for him really goes beyond words. Both he and my mom, I feel, symbolize unconditional love, and they gave me such a beautiful foundation. And I'm so grateful to them for always believing in my dream of being a writer and supporting that journey. And I I just love being able to have that kind of reassurance and sense of hope and love that my dad provides me whenever he accompanies me for an event. It's such a humbling and honored feeling to know that he stands beside me, and he also is like that butterfly as well, who's given me that gentle encouragement, and I look up to him so much, and all the different figures in my life that have served a fatherly role, because I think especially now, that sense of being reminded that we are loved and just having that nurturing presence in our life is able to give us such beautiful hope in a time that I think we most need it. That reminder that we are loved, and just having someone who cares for you and loves you unconditionally. I think that's been the most beautiful message that like my dad has been able to give me, and I in turn want to share that with others, because as we were saying earlier, sometimes we question, are we worth being loved unconditionally? We'll be so critical of ourselves and not feel worthy of that. And I want to say with a big yes, yes, you are worthy of being loved unconditionally. So my hope is that the message that my parents and grandparents and all the people who loved me into being shared with me, I in turn want to share with everybody else.
It's a good feeling, very much so. One of the visuals that I was seeing, and I didn't think about it until now, but hope, as you share on the back of Hope, Gloria's Hope tree. Hope the maple tree is often overlooked by shoppers at the garden nursery because of her small size, crooked branches, and few leaves. Now, if you're a child at heart, you remember the Charlie Brown Christmas, and how Charlie Brown just saw that tree that just looked like he saw something in that tree. He saw hope in that tree, so to speak. So it's just interesting how that Christmas energy is already present. How it's just a beautiful way of things coming full circle. Summer all the way to wintertime. We're definitely not rushing things into the snow, but by far, for all of our friends and neighbors who live out in the Buffalo and Western New York area and in the Northeast or different parts of the country where we see some snow quite regularly. One of the things that we love to do here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, a regular segment that we have here, is called Three Wishes, Stephanie, where we take the time to be able to gift three wishes. Yes, we just happen to have a magic genie lamp here in the Empowered Publicity Studios. It serves a purpose. You have given so freely and openly from your heart to your family, to children in Western New York, across the country, around the world, to just strangers that you've come into contact with. I remember again when we connected for the first time, a couple of years on back, you showed kindness to me, and you didn't necessarily have to do that. And you saw something in me and were reminding me of several different things in the process. So you are receiving three wishes for yourself. Now you can have these wishes for yourself. They can be for your family. They can be for the children of the world. They can be for the planet. What would those three wishes be for yourself, Stephanie?
Wow. I think the wishes that, or the hopes that are most important to me in my life would be, and especially during this time, it's reminded me that I hope for everybody's good health. So that would be one of my wishes. Second, I would hope for that everybody can feel that unconditional love that I feel so grateful to have felt and continue to feel. So my hope is for, or my wish is for everyone at some point in their life to experience that. And I would say my third wish would be to continue on this journey of learning to love myself, finding courage, sharing this message. I'm so grateful to be on it. Sometimes I have to pinch myself because it doesn't always feel real. But I hope that I can continue to write more books and share share this message of kindness and unconditional love with others. So I would say my 3 wishes would be for everyone's health, that everyone can feel unconditional love, and that I can keep being on this writing journey.
Those are 3 beautiful wishes. And I like to believe 100%, Stephanie, that, you know, the old expression, be careful what you ask for because you might get it now. Just things are very clear and transparent. So it's important to be very intentional and be very careful of what it is you put out there, because there's a good chance that it comes to fruition. So those are 3 beautiful wishes in the process. Again, we're beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here on episode number 80 of the Children's Book Spotlight series here at Empowered Publicity. Stephanie Parwulski joining us to share Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. One of our favorite neighbors is Beatrice here at the Children's Book Spotlight series, and also her second release, Gloria's Hope Tree. Both of them are now available courtesy of our friends and neighbors at Belle Isle Books, while on Amazon. If you feel free to, if you would like to purchase your copy of either one of Stephanie's books at Amazon, while there you can leave a 5-star review for Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift or Gloria's Hope Tree in the process. You can also head on over to Stephanie's official website, her first name, her last name, stephanieparwulski.com, and you can continue the interaction with her in the process. For all of the teachers, librarians, principals, educators in the Buffalo, Western New York, Southern Ontario area, across the country, I know that many of you who tune into the Children's Book Spotlight series, you are eager to start planning activities for the 2020-2021 school year. It's hard to believe that time's almost upon us, right? Feel free to connect with Stephanie via her official website. Again, stephanieparwulski.com, to see how Stephanie can give back to your little ones, to your little neighbors, to your students, with some amazing, just sharing from her beautiful heart these much needed children's books, because again, this is how we're going to be doing our part to create the new norm that we want to be able to create in the process. And that, again, to take a couple words out of Mr. Rogers' heart, that really is such a good feeling. For those who are, again, learning about your work for the first time, and now they have a better idea and a better understanding of your message, your mission for the children, what are a couple of the takeaways? If you can kind of encapsulate between Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift, as well as Gloria's Hope Tree, what would be some of the takeaways that you hope that children especially take away after reading both of your books, Stephanie? What would those be?
Sure. I think what I really want to remind children is of their importance and their value, because I think when you're a child, you can especially feel vulnerable, just due to, your smaller stature, and you may not feel like your voice is really heard. And I want to remind each child that they have a gift to share. And I love the moment when I'm able to do a presentation at a school or at a library, and I love having a discussion with the kids afterwards and talking about what they dream to do in their lives, and or what aspirations they have. And it's so beautiful to see that excitement, and I love to nurture that and encourage that, because for me, I'm so grateful I was given the opportunity to pursue my passion. And my hope is that in turn I can share that gift with the children and tell them, please, follow your heart. And I've always been a big proponent of that, the value of being in tune with your emotions and putting your heart into your art, your life. And so my hope is that I can help children process these more difficult emotions in a sensitive, understanding way, because I realize that children experience these levels of emotions too. And they may not always feel comfortable talking about them. And I wanted to provide them with a platform so they felt safe and they felt comfortable and honor how they felt. And in turn, I think when you honor someone's emotions, you help them then value themselves. And that's really my hope through my books, to let them know that they have a friend in me. They have someone who wants to support them and genuinely connect with them. And writing has really given me a portal to do that.
And And I think that that's a beautiful way for things to come full circle with our conversation. We talked about this in our green room before we connected live this evening on, just how transformative and healing that writing can be. So whether it be, we talked about the purchasing of the half a dozen or the dozen roses, or, listening to a beautiful meditation, or listening to some music, right? Writing provides so much essential therapy. So especially for all of, we talked earlier about the fathers to be, for all of the children's authors to be, the inspirational authors to be, the spiritual authors to be. And very much, if you have something that you want to share right now, now is the perfect time to be able to do that, because if anything, it's bringing more love and more joy and more compassion and more understanding and more healing for yourself, but you're also putting that out there for other people in need as well too. This has been such a fantastic trolley stop this evening, Stephanie. Before we conclude our time here together, one of the things that we love to do each and every Monday and each and every Thursday on the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series and the Story Time with Mr. Jonathan is that there are many people across the country, around the world, that are celebrating their birthdays. And between what we do here is on Mondays is those who are celebrating their birthdays today all the way through Thursday, we celebrate here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And those who celebrate their birthdays on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, we take care of those people on the Story Time with Mr. Jonathan. So just a sprinkling of some of our favorite neighbors who are celebrating their birthdays this week. Tomer Gindrick celebrating his birthday. Morgan Manny celebrating her birthday. Ciara Moriarle, hopefully I'm pronouncing your last name, Ciara. Both Ciara and her mom, Sue, at her sanctuary in Buffalo, they do a fantastic job. And one of our favorite neighbors from across the pond, Darren Garwood, who is the creator of the Jackson Superhero School series, or the Jackson Superhero series. I almost got his work confused with one of our other favorite neighbors, Donna Sayer Cowan, and the Superhero School series. Darren, of course, has his little boy, or I should say, Darren has his little boy, Jackson, that was diagnosed with Krabbe leukodystrophy, which is the same disease that Jim and Jill Kelly's little boy Hunter had. Of course, Jim Kelly, the NFL Hall of Fame quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. And so every book that you purchase from the Jackson Superhero School, the Jackson Superhero series, I almost got that confused again with Donna's work, it actually helps little Jackson and his family as well. So we like to serenade our neighbors here in Spanish, a little feliz cumpleaños, a ti, feliz cumpleaños, a ti, feliz cumpleaños, a ti, feliz cumpleaños, a ti. So again, just a reminder that this is going to be the most blessed and the most love-filled year of your life. So if we didn't mention your name, friends and neighbors, that's okay. If you are celebrating your birthday this week, remember that this is going to be the most blessed, love-filled, the most magical year of your life, because we're already, of course, celebrating the summer of magic and miracles. We are looking forward to our next trolley stops together over the course of the next several weeks ahead, because we are just literally less than 2 weeks away now, I believe, from the start of our month-long 6-year anniversary celebration here at Empowered Publicity. It has been such a joy to be able to be of service to such wonderful and gifted children's authors, truly some of the rising stars in the kidlit community, in addition to inspirational and spiritual authors. It's been such a joy to be of service to many of you, and as well as to be able to nurture and nourish the minds and the hearts of children all across the country and all around the world. So when we reconnect this Thursday, episode number 9 of the Empowered Publicity Storytime with Mr. Jonathan, we are going to be sharing one of our favorite children's books, Little Bluebird. This comes from the heart of Aaron Welch. A little backdrop on Little Bluebird, which, by the way, if you missed our sit-down interview with Aaron Welch in the Children's Book Spotlight series from several weeks on back, you can head on over to empoweredpublicity.com or the videos on demand section on the Empowered Publicity Facebook page. Born with one shorter wing, a young bird by the name of Emmy Bluebird tells her story of persistence and determination through obstacles, all while encouraging the spread of kindness and acceptance for those born a little different, because aren't we all? So we're going to be talking about several messages this forthcoming Thursday. We're going to be sharing Mr. Rogers' valuable lessons on acceptance, accepting yourself and accepting other people, those who especially might be different from yourself. We're seeing a lot of divide in our country and around our world right now. So one of the many messages that little Emmy Bluebird is reminding us is the importance of uniting together, and that yes, when there are challenges, when you do have obstacles that appear in your life, that's where persistence and that's where determination comes through and comes in. So again, this is going to be episode number 9 of the Empowered Publicity Storytime with Mr. Jonathan. This is the perfect complement to what we share each and every Monday at the Children's Book Spotlight series. I'm really looking forward to that next trolley stop. And then, of course, next Monday, episode number 81 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight series. I happen to be partial to the number 81 because I was born in 1981. It was a fantastic year. I was actually born August 18th, 1981. So as my grandmother, Jane Sajecki, would like to say, play those lotto numbers, 8, 18, 81. We go all the way out to the Pacific Northwest. One of our newest neighbors, Jessica Watson, is going to be joining us. Look at this beautiful cover art of this. The book is entitled Stay at Home. Now, yes, many of us over the course of the past several weeks and months, we've been relegated to staying at home, and we're starting to venture out a little bit. But one of the amazing things, one of the many messages that Jessica will be sharing with us next Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on episode number 81 of the Children's Book Spotlight series is acknowledging that home lies within. And that's a really good place to stay and to be in that energy of, because that's when when your life becomes a butterfly. See, it's so interesting. You know, there's butterflies in Beatrice and the Sunflower Gift. There's butterflies behind Stephanie. There's butterflies in Stay at Home. There's just butterflies wherever we go. Isn't that such a good feeling, friends and neighbors? If you are a children's author, if you are a children's illustrator, and you would like to have your brand new book be featured on the Empowered Publicity Storytime with Mr. Jonathan, feel free to connect with us at empoweredpublicity.com, or you can connect with us via any of our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube at Empowered Publicity, and Twitter at empowered_PR. If you are a children's author and you would like to share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book, just like Stephanie did here this evening, if you would like to join us during the latter summer or the early fall, it's hard to believe that the fall will be upon us sooner than we realize, and you would like to appear as a featured guest here on the Children's Book Spotlight series, you know where to find us, empoweredpublicity.com or any of our other social media platforms of choice. If you are an inspirational author, if you are a spiritual author, or if you are a children's author, and you would like to learn a little bit more about Empowered Publicity, if you would like to learn more information about our media coaching and mentoring program, if you would like to facilitate your own virtual media tour, because we're still kind of doing the virtual thing at least a little bit, even though we're still starting to kind of venture out a little bit further. If you would like to create a book or media tour, book/media tour in a city of your choosing, whether it be your backyard or a city of your choosing, you can connect with us at empoweredpublicity.com. Schedule your 30-minute discovery call, which is courtesy to you in the process. And we look forward to seeing how we can create and work together with you as we enter the 7th year of Empowered Publicity. That really is such a good feeling. I may actually have cracked a world record for saying the reference, it's such a good feeling, a certain number of times within a certain, hour-long time frame that we've been spending time together here in our neighborhood. Let us not forget the message of our favorite neighbor from the other side, Mr. Rogers, from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He is reminding us that you are perfect, you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete just the way that you are. That I like you just the way that you are. We never fly solo here on the Children's Book Spotlight series, so we have 2 series of our favorite numbers. 143, which of course means I love you. There is 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. But of course, Stephanie is joining us here this week as our featured guest. So this is where our other favorite series of numbers perfectly applies, 243, which means that we love you. Oh, such a wonderful trolley stop. And I do also want to mention one last thing here, friends and neighbors, because there has been quite a bit of amazing content that we have had the blessing of sharing over the course of the past several weeks. And as part of our 6-year anniversary celebration at Empowered Publicity, we have the true blessing of partnering up with the gold standard in the Kidlit community, our friends at Kidlit TV. If you love Netflix and if you find yourself binging on Netflix and you're wondering, well, is there something that can be maybe a little healthier than Netflix, right? Especially for your little ones. Well, this is where Kidlit TV at home comes in, where you are able to be connected with some of your favorite children's authors, some of the rising stars in the Kidlit community, such as one of our favorite neighbors from Chicago, Illinois. A Home for Sally, Stanetta Anthony, shares A Home for Sally in Kidlit TV's brand new, their newest edition of Read Out Loud at Home. That is now available. You can head on over to Empowered Publicity's Facebook page. Stay connected with us on Twitter. It's all across our social media platforms. We also want to send some love and appreciation to one of our favorite neighbors because he's very much getting us ready for Father's Day. Hal Price. He is the award-winning and best-selling children's author of the Eli Benjamin Bear series. Of course, the brand new release, The Bear Essentials. Hal is going to be appearing this Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific on our dear colleague Ashley Burgess's nationally syndicated radio show, Live Your True Life Perspectives. So for such wonderful content, such as Stanetta's Read Out Loud, and for Hal's sit-down conversation with Ashley Burgess, just stay connected with us at Empowered Publicity. We will provide the rest of the details for you. It is time. Stephanie, I'm looking for the trolley. It's interesting. The trolley escapes me, but somehow we managed to fit in this trolley. It's time to hop back aboard the trolley, but it's okay. You might be a little sad. We're going to be spending more time over the course of these next several weeks, and it's going to be such a wonderful time over the course of these next several weeks and months, because again, it is the summer of magic and miracles. So we've got a beam of light to catch. If this message has inspired you, if it's brought healing, love, joy, compassion into your heart, if you are now reminded, if you've given yourself the permission to come out of your shell, bravo to you. Congratulations to you. If you feel that this message needs to be shared with someone in need, the message of coming out of your shell, the message of hope in unlikely places, we encourage you to share episode number 80 of the Children's Book Spotlight series on Facebook or your favorite social media platforms of choice. And especially thank you to to the newest members of the Empowered Publicity family, our newest neighbors that have taken the time to like and follow us on Facebook, to click the bell to enable notifications so that you're directly connected with all new editions of the Children's Book Spotlight series and the Story Time with Mr. Jonathan each and every Monday and Thursday. And to all of you, the near 200 of you alone within the course of the past week or so that has subscribed to the Empowered Publicity YouTube channel, thank you so much from my heart to yours. Thank you very much for all the support that you are continuing to share with Empowered Publicity. So from our hearts, Stephanie and mine, from here in Buffalo, to wherever you are and wherever you may be, we hope that you have enjoyed this trolley stop, episode number 80 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. So until we connect this Thursday, friends and neighbors, once again, we will be joined and spending time sharing Little Bluebird, episode number 9 of the Storytime with Mr. Jonathan, and talking about the message of accepting ourselves and accepting others and embracing our uniqueness and our differences in the process. Such a great time tonight, friends and neighbors, don't you think? Great time, a great experience. Thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood, and we will connect with all of you this Thursday, June the 18th. It's the one infinite number, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, for episode number 9 of the Story Time with Mr. Jonathan. Farewell, friends and neighbors. I'll talk to you once again very soon. Thank you for helping to walk home the children of the world.